Don-O-Mite!
It's Dynamite!
Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite!
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
It's Dynamite!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite! April Fools, motherfuckers! What's going on? I hope you saw that. I hope everybody saw this t-shirt. People think that there's dissension. Look, April Fools, one time a year, I get to say how I truly feel about people, and right before they and start crying, then I just say, April Fools, just kidding. And then I got to hold it in like a fart for another fucking year. I'm just joking with everybody. All is good in the household. It's Wednesday night. I'm trying to get myself in a good mood. April 1st, April Fools. I tell you, you know, I'm not going to lie. I thought about calling a couple of people I know, maybe calling my girl. Hey, you might need to go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. You know, apparently I came across a customer that's sick now. I was going to make a lot of fucked up jokes today, but there's so much stuff going on right now in this world. I can't really do April Fools like I want to, but nah, everything is good with the shows, everybody. You know, look, even if there was problems between yours truly and any host that I do shows with, you know, when the recording starts and you're tuning in, it's business. I mean, of course, it's not a professional business. This is more of a hobby. We love pro wrestling and beyond. We love the fact that you all tune in to us. Earlier today, I made an appearance on Frank and Gus, and it was a fun show. But look, you keep tuning in. Even if I have to bite my tongue, even if I can't stand people that I do business with, it's business. You don't take it personal, and but honestly, even if that was the case, there is no issues right now. I know this pisses people off, but despite this coronavirus shit going on, 2020 has not been a bad year for yours truly, and I hope it hasn't been a bad year for a lot of you out there. You know, a little bump in the road right now, a little sacrifice for the next few weeks. You be careful, and we'll look back on it as a nice test for all of us, seriously. Lucas, you want to be a moderator? I don't even know who the fuck you are. What are you talking about? All right, Donzilla Army, I got to do something before we go any further. If you've been listening to the first, 27 episodes of this show, I must have said at least 7 or 8 times during those episodes that there was something that I honestly wanted really, really bad for AEW to do. And forgive me for the next 3 minutes, but, you know, I think it's only fair that we do this. Let's flash back last week, Wednesday night Dynamite. Only about 3 minutes. I'll spare everyone the 12-inch version, you know, the extended mix. But last week on Wednesday night Dynamite, Darby Allin versus Kip Sabian. Again, Cody's commentary was excellent. You know Darby Allin is going to be a major star. I wish AEW would announce a secondary title. Even if you want to do a tournament, get a secondary title. Not saying that Darby Allin has to be the champion of it, but, you need a title that Guevara can go for, that Darby Allin could go for. Some of these second-tier, third-tier wrestlers can go for. Moxley is the champion, I'm fine. Jericho as the champion, I was fine. But you need a secondary title. Omega and Hangman Page, because of that storyline, there isn't that much going on with the tag team division right now. Sure, we're under special circumstances, so you're not going to see, titles defended like they used to, but that secondary title is needed. Seriously. Even if Darby Allin was like a television champion or something, I don't think anybody would say, oh, he's way too young. You need these. Having a title is a storyline in itself. Two people wanting to go for the same title, storyline, boom, easy. You don't have to come up with all these other, things to lead up to it. That was my rant about TNA. And kind of depresses me because I remind myself how many years I've been doing this stuff. But when TNA came around, anybody remembers the early episodes of Breakfast with Blassie. TNA, make a secondary title. What the fuck are you doing? And they finally they came out with secondary titles, tertiary titles, blah, 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 blah. AEW needs a secondary title. AEW, if you're listening or watching, just start hyping up a tournament down the line for some type of title. I know a lot of you out there are going to MJF's ring. That's not a title. That was like a trophy. That is a prize. You don't defend the ring. And who the fuck wants to see somebody fighting over a ring? In fact, I expect a storyline down the line with somebody, not obviously the actual one, but just like Austin and The Rock, somebody's got a feud with MJF and be shown on a pier in Florida or somewhere and throwing that fucking ring into the ocean. That's what's going to happen to that ring and storyline, in my opinion. Somebody's got to throw that shit in the ocean. Seriously. The problem with a secondary title is if you want to focus on people like Guevara or Allen, and I use those two because those two I think would benefit with some type of a title right now. You see today, again, Omega defended his AAA title. That was fine. The match with Guevara was great. But how much better would it have been if it was an AEW title? Exactly. So we got the press release. The TNT Championship. And we start the tournament next week. Now, I'll give you my thoughts about the overall concept of a TNT Championship, but let's put up the brackets for anybody that is not aware of it. Next week, we start the tournament. You could see on the left side, we have Shawn Spears versus Cody. And then we have Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin, which I kind of wish would have maybe been a semifinal match. But, hey, that's okay. That's no problem. On the opposite side, Kip Sabian, which I honestly don't know why the fuck he's in this tournament, versus Dustin Rhodes. And then you have Lance Archer, who, honestly, today, everybody, I almost wanted to cry the match that I saw today. Sometimes when you're happy, you're so happy that you cry from it. When people win, like at game shows, like they start crying because they're so happy. Seeing Lance Archer do what he did today to Marco Stunt, I mean, I came. Honestly, I looked down and there was a load on the floor. I blew my load. I mean, that's like the ultimate fantasy. I even wrote this online earlier today. That's the equivalent of me long time ago fantasizing Pedro Martinez throwing a 100-mile-an-hour beanball into Danny Almonte You remember Danny Almonte, for anybody that lives in the United States, Northeast especially, and we're into baseball. Danny Almonte, we had like Little League World Series going on in this neck of the woods. And it was like 12-year-olds playing, LOL. I'll pretend you said, actually LOL, pretend you said 18. No, I mean, there were 12-year-olds doing like a Little League World Series, and the next thing you know, here comes this fucking, Jose the Giant, this fucking teenager. You could tell he wasn't 12 years old, and he's telling everybody he's 12 years old. He ended up being much older than that, and fucking scammed. It was a scam. So, I just, for some reason back then, I always wanted to see like Pedro Martinez, Clemens, somebody that threw like 105 miles an hour and just being that motherfucker right in the face, right in the mouth. Not for real, but, just brush him back. That was the equivalent today. To see big, giant fucking Lance Archer, his first match, and they put him against Marco Stunt. Come on, man. Not only was that awesome, but it went 3 minutes. 3 minutes. All we needed was Eric Bischoff to come out and say, you got 3 minutes. No 15 seconds. I got to see punishment. For every little fucking brat in my lifetime that I just one time punch him right in the goddamn mouth, but can't, because like I always said, no one is ever worth getting arrested over, not even pussy. But, to see Lance, and I'm talking entertainment purposes. I don't want Marco Stunt in real life to get hurt, maybe a little bit. But, but seriously, I mean, this is where, when the cameras are on, it's entertainment. Lance Archer destroying Marco Stunt today. Honestly, I blew a load. Best match of the night, in my opinion. Rothman, thank you very much, my friend. Much love to you as well. And by the way, for everybody who is live, now look, I know a lot of people like to rub shit in my face and say, oh, this guy live has this many people and they have this many people. I've always said, everyone, number one, I'm only up here doing video for about 3 months after doing 22 plus years of audio only. So this is something still new. It's something to get used to. But not only that, for all of these years that I didn't do video, other people were on YouTube building their fan base, building their audience, and there's a lot of podcasters who have been live every week doing their thing. So if you want to check out someone else live and then come back here and watch this on a recap, that's fine with me. I have no problem with it. Let's see 1 year from now. Let's see as far as the viewership and everything else. But everybody that's tuning in live, the one thing that you get, obviously, is you can interact with me during the show. If you watch it later on, there might be something you want to say or ask, and, even with the super chat, and you lose that opportunity by watching this on a replay. But that's fine with me. I got to build the audience. I got to build everybody's, their viewing. I got to change their viewing habits, I'm not aiming to have the biggest audience out there. I just want to give everybody my best, have fun. You all have fun, smile, laugh, get your mind off of bullshit for a little while. That's my goal. Of course, put a little money in my pocket as well. You see what's going on in this country right now, and it sucks because I almost feel guilty sometimes to tweet about some of the things that I do, because I know some people are having some real hard times. But, like I said last week, do I want to tweet or do I want to eat? I'm doing my insurance work. I'm doing lots of podcasts. I'm doing taxes for customers. And, some people are like, oh, what are you doing taxes for? Everything's been postponed for 3 months. Well, when you have people that are due a refund, you think they fucking want to wait till July to get that money? No, they want that shit now. So I'm doing taxes, I'm doing insurance, and I'm also doing grocery deliveries on the side. That's how I get my money right now. And when I see so many people online whining and crying, I mean, look, I can see if you're Joey 924 in a fucking wheelchair and you can't do nothing, and unfortunately for some people that can't even move their arms or their hands, you got 2 legs and you got 2 hands and you're out of a job right now, go Try to work at a gas station, work at a 7-Eleven, work in a delicatessen, work in a grocery store, pack out shelves. You don't want to be around people? Work night crew. Oh, well, that's beneath me. Come on, man. People want money that bad? You go out and do it. My father, thank God for my father. He became successful years later. But I've told the stories before. 15 plus years, my father worked 3 goddamn jobs at the same time. He worked in 2 delis and a gas station. Why? Because he wanted to give us a good education. He wanted to have a nice house. He wanted to have a nice car, which unfortunately yours truly, got it all fucked up. You know the stories about Scumbag Alley and all that stuff. My father, you'd think he enjoyed working in a delicatessen and standing on his feet all day, working gas stations late at night. No, he did whatever he could to bring in money. So if you're an able-bodied person and you can't work right now, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Of course, it's risky because of this and that. But, unfortunately, it is what it is. I feel bad for everybody who is out of work right now. I'm scared shit sometimes. I wrote about it earlier today, and this is a wrestling thing. This will lead to a wrestling thing. I went into the supermarket today. Because I had to buy the necessities, avocados, ice cream, hot dogs, shit like that. And as I'm standing in line, I see a guy 1 aisle down. He's got the fucking mask on. And then all of a sudden, he pulls the mask up and he goes, he pulled the mask up so he could sneeze, because this motherfucker thinks, oh, I'm not going to sneeze inside the mask. Then I got boogers all over my nose. This son of a bitch picked up his mask and he sneezed. And I'm like looking at it and people are just like, what the fuck did this guy, just a sneeze. Then I started thinking about it. Did you ever see a wrestler actually sneeze during a match? Did you ever see that? I know that there has been a skit here and there where somebody sneezed, but in all the years of you watching pro wrestling, do you ever recall a wrestler sneezing during a match? I honestly don't ever remember that. I mean, I know there's stories of people farting and shitting and all this other stuff. I think CM Punk shit, not too long on a training set. Have you ever seen a wrestler sneeze? I mean, live match, 5, 10, 20 minutes. You don't ever see put in like a headlock. I never saw it. I was thinking about that today. So, and thank you, Leo. Look, there's a lot of people that find me more entertaining than Jason, for example. And there's a lot of people that find Jason more entertaining than me. Totally respect that. Everybody's got a little different style to bring to the table. Him, JD, RCWR, Joe Cronin, all the shows on Fight. Everybody does a little bit different. Me, I do my own style. I'll never fucking change. I tell it like it is. Some people can't handle that. Some people think I'm a little too abrasive. Speaking of abrasive, Dark Side of the Ring, New Jack yesterday. My honest suggestion for everybody out there, if you follow Wrestling Soup, they've been doing these Frank and Gus shows. I was on there today. I actually went under my middle name / confirmation name, Santino. We had a nice long discussion about the New Jack documentary yesterday. I'm not going to bring up everything, but, I enjoyed it. Look, I mean, when I was a kid and, you would have like Entertainment Tonight or Channel 9 News or this one, George Michael's Sports Machine, and they do a segment on pro wrestling. Oh, kayfabe. Yes. Shout out to you, my friend. He's tuning in. And by the way, I truly meant this when I said this the other day, especially kayfabe. Because of being in my bubble, doing always audio only and not, just always focusing on my own shit, never really took the time that I should have to see what other people were doing and to really follow shows a lot more closer. And kayfabe is one of those shows, and he's on Fight for a reason, Fight TV for a reason. Does really, really good shit. He's tuning in live right now. And believe me, everyone, I know a lot of you out there, you see these people, especially the blue check marks, like a retweet is not necessarily an endorsement and this and that. Fuck you. Seriously, be a fucking person, man. You know, speak your fucking mind. You don't like something or you like something, just fucking own it up and say, yeah, I'm a fan of this, or my retweet is because I agree or support it. People are so afraid what other people think. You know, I tell it straight out. I retweet his stuff and I like his stuff because I'm a fan of his stuff and he does great shit. I am a little bit jealous that he has a bigger audience than me. But, you know, at the end of the day, we all do this because we're wrestling fans. We enjoy what we're doing. You know, it also gets our minds off of a lot of shit that's going on in this world. You know, it's a nice release. I mean, a lot of you that I met even a couple of weeks ago at the big event, people were like, wow, you know, you're nothing like you are on the shows. Because when I'm on the shows, you know, it's just like a release. You know, when you go in the shower and you start singing in the shower and you start acting goofy because you know nobody's around, you know, it's almost like how I am over here. But getting back to the New Jack, you know, I enjoyed it. And, you know, when I was a kid, we would have like little wrestling segments on all these entertainment shows. Most of it is shit that we saw already. And sometimes they were big assholes. You know, that's what the time was at the time, the mid-'80s. Is wrestling fake? Wrestling is fake. Wrestling is fake. You know, I didn't feel bad for John Stossel, you know, when Dr. D slapped him in the ear. You know, and if you go on my YouTube channel, you could see my clips. Just look up SNME. That's short for Saturday Night's Main Event. Look up on my YouTube channel. You're watching live here, so you know this is my channel. Just go in the search box, type in SNME. That is video that I recorded myself 35 years ago on my VCR. And there's a Channel 9 news reporter where Buddy Roberts, Fabulous Freebirds, Buddy Roberts puts him in a figure 4 and actually puts pressure on his knee and tore ligaments in the fucking guy's knee. The guy was like 60 years old at the time. You know, just bald, real goof. But we all fucking laughed at it. Like, you deserved that, motherfucker. And we were just kids at the time, you know. But even though there were novelty segments, we'd still watch it. So what I saw yesterday, 99% of it, I already know. I mean, I've had a lot of interaction over the years, and we talked about some of it on Monday. We talked about some of it earlier today. You know, New Jack called me up in my office in 1997, early 97, when I had my car accident. And, you know, my ex, for those, I'm sorry if, you know the story already, but I'll bring it up because for a reason with New Jack yesterday. You know, I had my car accident in 96. It almost killed me. I still take painkillers to this day because of it. And my ex, who never followed wrestling and know nothing, she just knew that, you know, I wanted to become a wrestler. And me and my friends really were serious about signing up for the House of Hardcore, you know, the ECW school at the time in like 1996, because we lived in New York. It wasn't far away, but we never went that far. So we did a lot of like, you know, backyard shit and everything. Nothing filmed. We were just fucking around. When I had my car accident, she knew I was a diehard wrestling fan. She looked at my computer and saw that I was a big fan of ECW more than anything else. And she wrote to ECW and she wrote to WWF. They didn't fucking respond. Fuck you. WCW didn't fucking respond either. But ECW, and she wrote to them and told them how big of a fan I was. And she didn't know anything about wrestling. But if they can, you know, send something to cheer me up, because at that time I thought I was going to be in a wheelchair for life. And next thing I know, I get an autograph from Rob Van Dam. You know, at the time I had gotten engaged, or was close to getting engaged, and he talked about his recent marriage to Sorrell at the time. Terry Funk wrote me a 2-page letter that I still have to this day. I showed you all the autographed shirt that he sent me at the same time as well. But when I went back to my office, I was still in a wheelchair, but I would go in crutches, and I would, you know, sit that way. And my phone rings, and I answer the phone in my office. I say, hey, hello, blah, 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 blah. This is Anthony. Yeah, this is Anthony. Who's this? New Jack. New Jack. And it didn't hit me right away. And then I was like, holy shit. I said, you know, what's up? And he's like, you don't sound like no kid. And I was like, no. And I told him how old I was and everything. He's like, man, I got this letter. You got in a car accident, you almost died and all this other stuff. So we were on the phone for like 5 minutes. It may not sound like a long time, but it is. And we hung up the phone. This is right before I started doing my hotline. And when that happened, I said, one day I'm going to, pay him back because it was just an awesome thing. Now, this is the same sick motherfucker that you saw yesterday on Dark Side of the Ring. Calling my office, just to say hello and wish me well because of my accident. My ex was smart, but I didn't think she was that convincing, unless maybe she offered, some services in return. But so anyway, I start my hotline in 97. I start doing some work for XPW in 2002. Frank Goodman, USA Pro Wrestling, sees how much attention I'm getting on my hotline, getting success, getting a lot of people going on my bus trips all the way to Philly for XPW, wants me to get involved, trying to sell and push tickets for, his USA Pro, which was UXW later on. And, I started doing some work. You all know the history. So anyway, I don't know, 2006, 7, around there, New Jack gets arrested. And it's an infamous story. And he had no money to get out of jail. And he was supposed to do a Goodman event at the time. And New Jack's girlfriend at the time put up an eBay auction. Help bail New Jack out of jail. And whoever won the auction would get like an autograph photo, a phone call from New Jack, and this and that. And that was my opportunity all those years later to pay him back for what he did for me. So I won the eBay auction. If anybody goes on my website, if you go to Wayback Machine and type in my website, you'll see the original articles and everything when I did what I did. And I told his girlfriend the story of what I just told all of you. And I said, you tell him, he doesn't need to call me. Just tell him that I finally got to return the favor for what he did for me in early 1997. And it was such a cool story. But that story is why people were trying to start shit with New Jack and me at that time. So I had great interactions with New Jack. I did podcasts with the Mass Maniac with New Jack. There's a couple of them on my Patreon right now. We laugh about 95% of the time. So, New Jack, there is an entertaining, funny, happy side of New Jack. But Dark Side of the Ring, they want to focus on the dark side, obviously. That's one of the problems I had with yesterday. You want to talk about the dark side of stuff, that's fine. But if you're going to do like a documentary, you have to include, some of the other things. You don't want to make it seem like, you're born and then you die. And then you die. They left out a lot of things, him with the bounty hunter stuff, and there was a few other things. I was telling a few stories later on. And the Eric Coolers thing, look, I mentioned it earlier. The history show that I did 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Go back to the week, the anniversary, where New Jack had that incident with Eric Coolers, the guy that played the Ralph Cramden thing, And I talked about it for about 20 minutes, and I played clips of other wrestlers talking about it. What he did to the kid, it obviously is unacceptable. But, number one, if you don't know the entire story about that kid claiming to be part of Killer Kowalski's school and showing up there and says he knows how to wrestle, and then remember what I said earlier. This was right before ECW was going to land on pay-per-view. That time was the most critical time for ECW because you had Extreme Fighting, Ultimate Fighting that was fairly new. It was outlawed in a lot of states, and a lot of people looked at ECW as extreme wrestling. A lot of pay-per-view companies did not want to carry ECW. And then, so that time period was so critical. And in the midst of it, you got a 17-year-old kid who, claims that he wrestles. And, Killer Kowalski's not there to say that this guy's full of shit. He shows up with a midget. Nobody fucking ever talked about the midget for 20 years. Now all of a sudden the midget is a big part of yesterday's story. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. But, you go back and you look at the clips of Blue Meanie talking about stuff on how Taz was upset. This fucking guy is smoking in front of everybody in the locker room. He's trying to call moves. Hey, I want to do this spot. I want to do this spot during the match. There's a fucking 17-year-old's never been in the ECW locker room before, and he's trying to call spots. He's fucking smoking. He's fucking acting like he's a celebrity. So he gets in the fucking match, and and everything I'm saying is 100% accurate. During the match, he tells New Jack to cut him because he's never bladed before. New Jack realizes I'm in the fucking ring with someone that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He fucking lied. This is a really big part of that time period of ECW, and this son of a bitch is saying, cut him. Oh, no problem. I fucking cut him. Of course, he went overboard. There's no justification for that. But the point is, people try to paint it out that this fucking 17-year-old was an innocent victim, and his father in the crowd, he's only 17! He's only 17! Those motherfuckers, fat father and fat son, knew exactly what ECW was all about. Like I said earlier, wasn't 1993 that nobody knew what ECW was. This fucking guy and his father both knew what ECW does. They know what New Jack does. They know what Axel Rotten does. They know what Mustafa Balls Mahoney do. They know what kind of matches. They know there's weapons. They know there's this stuff. And then the motherfucker started getting his ass handed to him. And then it was like, he's 17. He's 17. He was fucking 17 before you brought your fat fucking son to the school. That's it. There's a reason why New Jack was found not guilty. There's a reason why this lawsuit, really did not go pretty much anywhere. So they want to sensationalize it a little bit with Paul Heyman yesterday and try to paint it the way it is. But, at the end of the day, let me be honest with everybody out there. I saw wrestling writers that are not 15 years old. I saw wrestling writers with blue check marks yesterday and today acting like they never heard of New Jack before. What the fuck were you doing for 15 plus years when you were covering wrestling and New Jack was even in TNA doing this stuff with Shark Boy? Where were these people? This isn't like a fucking guy, like I could see if it's Dino Bravo or something who's been dead and buried for decades, but if people were so outraged about this situation with Eric Coulis, you had 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. You had all these ECW reunion shows. You had all of these interviews, shoot interviews. My God, he's done fucking 20 shoot interviews. It's not like this guy's been fucking hidden for 20 years. This is all fake outrage now, all right? New Jack obviously is a crazy son of a bitch. I told the story earlier. He scared the shit out of me when he thought that I actually was going to face him in a match like 7 years ago. I shit bricks at 3 o'clock in the morning over that, But at the end of the day, he's loving the publicity and he deserves the publicity. But for people to write all this stuff on social media and just, totally call him this or calling him that, that's just because this aired yesterday and they just want tweet likes. Seriously, but I liked it. I liked it. Steve Official says that OJ was acquitted also. Right, I understand that, but it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And what New Jack was not accused of murder. New Jack was accused of a much lower offense. That was very easy to prove because there was video, there was all this other stuff. And you go back, if you have an account with newspapers.com, because I even think on the History Show, I put 1 or 2 newspaper clippings from there. I played even footage from the local news media outlets that were covering this story at the time. When New Jack was found not guilty, there wasn't like, these petitions and all this stuff to fucking get New Jack in jail or have this kid win a lawsuit. People were busy trying to fucking get hand jobs because ECW was then still trying to get on pay-per-view. It was delayed a little bit. Seriously, for all of the journalists that are around now, that were around 25 years ago, all right, you go to Wayback Machine and just go back and see how they treated it. Because they had websites at the time. You could see that stuff. Nobody fucking made this crazy. It was obviously disturbing to see, but this outrage now, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, M says to me earlier, you banned me. M. What the fuck is an M? It's a letter of the alphabet. You know, if I blocked you from somewhere, you know, send me a private message. Let me know where I blocked you. I'll look and see why I did. You know, I'm getting a little bit older right now, and I don't have time for trolls and baby shit and stuff like that. And maybe I milked this a little bit because we don't have all that much to talk about today. You know, we had AEW and NXT in empty arenas. You know, I'm going to talk about that. I took all my notes. You know, but other than that, there ain't no other wrestling promotions doing anything right now. Things keep getting postponed and canceled. And for those tuning in live, you wanted to hear a little bit of thoughts about the New Jack documentary. I thought it was well done, but, you know, there was a lot of stuff missing, and they just wanted to focus on two particular stories. And there was a lot of shit left out, man. A lot of controversial stuff, but, you know, look, if you want to see a controversial wrestling documentary, it's better than watching nothing. It was good, but when you know the entire story and you know that there's a lot of other things that were omitted, you know, it's a very incomplete, you know, documentary, very incomplete. And, you know, I just wish, and I had mentioned this earlier, you know, when I use the podcast, for example, whether it's me or anybody else that does the show, you know, there's times of us being wrestling fans for decades that wrestling really sucks, you know, and even if it's just a week, a month, or a period, there's times where, you know, people just fall out of love of wrestling. They don't watch it. They don't cover it. You know, you see spurts of people creating podcasts. You know, when AEW came around, all these fucking people, you know, suddenly had podcasts. And now things are starting to get a little bit, you know, settled down, and there's no major fucking jump from the WWE on the horizon, even though the Matt Hardy and the Brody Lee stuff is good. And you see, there's no show today. Had technical problems and this and that. And excuses. You know, you got to be in it for when times are really fucking rocking and when times are kind of shangada. You got to put in the same work and the same effort. You know, you can't just put in hard work simply because there's a big buzz, you know. And Dark Side of the Ring, you could see where they don't put as much effort in things, you know. And that's why I always like the ESPN, the 30 for 30s and the other stuff that they have done, because, you know, it doesn't matter who they're talking about. They put in a hell of a lot of work and research. They don't just try to wing and fill up things here and there. And I'm not saying they did that. They filled it up a week by Aaron New Jack, but you could see, you know, the amount of effort that was put in for that Benoit stuff. And you see this. And this is not the only one. When you see some of the other ones out there, you know, you're going to be like, this really was. And that's what it is, you know. Go balls out or don't do it at all. It's my opinion. So, you know, it's better than nothing. I agree. It's better than nothing. You know, even WrestleMania, and I'm not going to talk about WrestleMania here because we don't cover Raw or Smackdown over here. But, you know, if you're so much of an outrage about WrestleMania, don't fucking watch it. Do something else. Watch something else. You know, I'd rather see something than nothing. You know, I agree. It should have been postponed. I've been saying that since day one. It should have been postponed. I still, you know, and I guess we could talk a little bit. It's a little hot in here because let me take the jacket off. The fuck? I ain't trying to win no model contest over here. It's hot in here. But, you know, let's talk about something for today. You know, and of course, nobody's going to, you know, link to what I said, but, you know, I'll tell you what the research that I did earlier. All right, AEW tonight was not done in Florida. And, you know, I did my research, and the first thing that I noticed was the artificial grass on the floor. And if you remember in February, I talked about Cody, you know, making an agreement with a wrestling school in Norcross, Georgia. And, you know, it was going to be the Nightmare Factory. Cody took ownership, a leader role. You might remember, it was only a little over a month ago. And when you saw the pictures of the Nightmare Factory in February, it had green, like, AstroTurf on the floor. And sure enough, today, as soon as AEW Dynamite started, and you looked at the side of the ring, boom, green AstroTurf. I said, that's the fucking Nightmare Factory. So I did a little research today, everybody. AEW today was done at the Nightmare Factory. If you noticed, there was definitely more than 10 people in that area, especially if you look at the main event. You count all the people that ringside, the announcers, the referee, the camera people, the people in the ring. There was more than 10. Well, here's the deal. They were in Norcross, Georgia, which is a part of Gwinnett County. And Gwinnett County, as of 2 hours ago, has had 257 cases of coronavirus and 6 deaths. You know, not extremely serious, but still, even one death is serious enough. Now, here's where it gets a little bit interesting. As of Friday, there was no stay-at-home order across the state of Georgia. And when Joe, Frank Gus, and yours truly did the show earlier today, we were talking about Dynamite. And I said that because of DeSantis in Florida making that stay at home, that I said that AEW is going to probably go to a different state to do their show. And I said it would not surprise me if they end up showing up at the Hardy compound, you know, the Hardy confines. But what they did was they went over to Georgia. Tony Schiavone is around that area. Georgia, you know, that building is right outside of Atlanta. And up until Friday, this past Friday, there was no stay-at-home order for Gwinnett County. It was only hours ago today, that Georgia issued a statewide stay-at-home. Now, obviously, some matches were already taped. Last week, I said that it wouldn't surprise me if Hager and Moxley taped their match last week because they were in the building and had that confrontation. There was definitely footage recorded last week, you know. But the thing is that you have this tournament starting up, and it's going to start, I think 2 weeks, I believe, or next week. Whether it's next week or 2 weeks from now, you know, I don't believe every single match has already been recorded. If tonight was really live, which I believe it was, you know, we're going to see a match or two taped tonight that will be for this tournament. The thing is, and again, I'm not trying to be a dick over here, but I've been saying this for many weeks now because I just tell it like it is my opinion. You know, I know the wrestlers, and this might be a little bit of a broken record, I know the wrestlers want to entertain us. I know, you know, they want to get our minds off of this and that and everything, but so do a lot of entertainers. So do a lot of baseball, basketball players. You know, I joked around that, you know, even if you look at a baseball team, you know, when they're in the field, they're much more than 6 feet apart from each other. But my point is that pro wrestlers are not above the law. And pro wrestlers should not be above us, politicians, well, maybe politicians because they're necessity. At the end of the day, the pro wrestlers are entertainers. That is not a necessity. It's not an essential worker. And in my opinion, to see AEW, oh, we're in Florida. Oh, stay-at-home order. Let's shoot over to Norcross. Oh, stay-at-home order today. Let's fucking shoot over to North Carolina. Let's shoot over to the Hardy compound. Oh, stay-at order here. Let's fucking shoot over to Idaho. Oh, stay-at-home here. Let's even, look, I am a big supporter of AEW, obviously, and I criticize it when needed to. But just think about that. All of you out there that are out of work right now, even if you worked for a place where there's only one or two people in the fucking office, you know, and you know that you go back there, you sit in your cubicle, you're not around anybody. There's only two people in the office. You know, you fucking make T-shirts for a living. You lock the door. You don't allow any customers in there. It's just you or one other person, you know, and you're making T-shirts, and you just go to the post office, which you're allowed to do, and you fucking ship them out. I'm using the T-shirt stuff as an example. You know, you're not an essential employee, so you're forced to stay the fuck home. And to see these promotion, you know, WWE or AEW, oh, we can't go here, so let's go to this state. Oh, this state issued it. That's disrespecting what's going on, in my opinion. You want to entertain us so bad, put a fucking best of. Show us fucking AEW the first 6 months. Show us WWE, fucking redo this or replay this. Put the fucking WrestleMania matches for Raw, Smackdown, and NXT instead of this coming weekend, like I've been saying all along. You know, I am a diehard pro wrestling fan since 1979. I'll be a wrestling fan to the day I die. And if I didn't love this shit, I wouldn't be doing this stuff right now. But, you know, to see, oh, you can't do it in Florida, so let's go to Georgia. Oh, fuck, we can't do it in Georgia. Let's go to North Carolina. Oh, we can't do it in North Carolina. Let's go to, you know, that's fucking, you know, that's just, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. You know, there's a reason why you can't fucking do it in Florida. There's a reason why you can't do it. You don't, why do you think that some states that have virtually no cases of coronavirus still have to adhere to, you know, the social, you know, distancing and everything else? Because they don't want that area to become a fucking hotspot, you know? And you see, you know, not for nothing, you see Aubrey Edwards, she's refereeing a match, and she's refereeing 2 or 3 people in the ring, 4 people in the ring, whatever it is. And next week, she's going to referee 4 or 6 totally different people, all right? And I guarantee you see these people filming these fucking YouTube videos where they're in a fucking store, they're in a hotel, they're buying fucking apples, they're buying coffee, they're buying condoms, they're doing this and they're doing that. You know, it ain't like, you know, the people that you're seeing on TV are all locked in a fucking Legends house and not interacting with anybody else. And to me, that's disrespectful. All of us, well, not all of us, but a lot of people out there can work right now and be totally separated from everyone else. Totally. You still can't do it because of what's going on. And pro wrestling thinks that because they're an entertainment company and they're putting smiles on our faces. And I just think it's really fucking selfish. I liked what I saw today. I thought AEW had a fun show. Didn't have to rewrite, you know, or, you know, just totally change the world of pro. You put on an entertaining show, some decent matches, you know. You don't have to fucking, you know, change the world with that as far as the recreate pro wrestling. But at the end of the day, you see what's going on, you know, and it's like, oh, well, we can't go here anymore, so let's go there. Oh, we can't go there anymore, let's go over here. I'm not feeling it. So, but I still enjoyed the show. So that is the details as far as what we saw today with AEW. Again, you know, I don't know if anybody else is going to be covering that, but I did my research, and as soon as I saw the artificial turf, I said, that's the Nightmare Factory. But, you know, a couple other things very quickly. You know, congratulations to Nick Jackson. He and his wife, Ellen Div, are the proud parents of a new baby boy, Michael Massey. And that is the reason why they wrote him off with, you know, being stuck under the gate and everything. Jericho's promo today with Vanguard One, that shit was funny. You know, I was surprised of how many people online were ripping it. I was surprised at how many people online were ripping the Brody Lee stuff. No, I did say it last week. You know, mocking Vince is fine and everything, but it can't be every single week. Now, right now, they're doing the segments just to establish Brody Lee. It's not just a slap to Vince McMahon. He is mocking the fuck out of Vince McMahon, and it is entertaining. But they're also trying to create the storyline that Brody Lee is drunk with power. Brody Lee is paranoid. Brody Lee, and you might even remember, before he even was revealed as the Exalted One, I said on the show a few times that Brody Lee is going to ultimately boot out some of the members of the Dark Order. And, you almost feel like he's going to be someone who is so drunk with power that he is going to cause the Dark Order to implode. Now, you look at the Dark Order as far as a faction goes, you get past maybe, Evil Uno, Grayson, maybe one other person. You don't have, it's not like, you can't look at it like the NWO that you have these big time stars in it. But I would not be surprised down the line they try to do some type of power struggle storyline with Brody Lee and maybe Evil Uno. I don't know if fans will really get into that as much as maybe they think. But right now it's to, basically show that Brody Lee is extremely drunk with power. Plus, when they showing the guy yawning earlier, that showing signs of weakness and this and that. Not everything Brody Lee doing is negative. But it was interesting when he came out after the, Team Nightmare won their match and he took out fucking, the loser number 8. Didn't lay his hands on Dustin or anything, just destroyed loser number 8. But, we had Cody and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Later on, we had Colt Cabana and Tony Schiavone on commentary. A lot of fun. I know a lot of you out there may not have paid much attention to Colt Cabana over his career, other than the stuff he did with CM Punk or maybe his podcast. But the guy is entertaining. And he is, and I hate using baseball analogies, but a lot of baseball teams, even basketball, you have that utility guy that could fit many positions and actually could do a decent job for himself. That's what Colt Cabana is. Look, putting him in this tournament, in my opinion, he's going to get fed, to Lance Archer. He's going to get his ass kicked, but Colt Cabana, and I think we're going to do this in a week or two. Maybe not next week. And remember what I said last week, because people are starting to take notice of this. Last week I said that not this coming week or next week, it's the week after. And even next week to a certain degree, but next week and the week after is going to be that must-see TV, because we already got Gargano Ciampa that is going to air in the empty building, and AEW is going to go head-to-head with that. WWE has been getting their ass kicked in the NXT ratings and with AEW, and deservingly so. But when you get to the WrestleMania week, you might have that 1 week where NXT wins in the ratings. AEW is not going to allow that to remain. They're going to pull a lot of, rabbits out of the hat as well. And, you understand something too. And this gets to the TNT Championship, and then we'll talk about the two shows. Like I said, the shows today were simple, not extremely detailed that we have to talk about a lot. I mean, I definitely want to talk about the Jericho Hardy Center. That shit was funny. Release the hounds! Release the hounds! Oh, man, that was funny. But, I will say this. When you look at this tournament. Now, let me just put the picture back up because I didn't talk about the last match. But here, let me cue this picture up again. TNT title. Here it is. All right. So we have Shawn Spears and Cody in bracket 1 in the quarterfinal. I personally think Cody's got to get that win. Shawn Spears, chair shot. Still looking for a tag team partner. I just feel that Cody versus Darby Allin is a match that I think we would like to see again. So I almost feel like Darby Allin and maybe Cody advance to the next round, and that hypes up Cody versus Darby Allin, especially how AEW went off the air today. I'll get into that a little bit later. On the opposite side, Kip Sabian and Dustin Rhodes. Nothing against Kip Sabian, but he does zero for me as a wrestling fan. Penelope Ford is attractive and everything, but, I could go on fucking Pornhub or anything else if I need to see a nice hot piece of ass. I just think, well, this match almost feels like it was put together so Brandy and maybe Penelope Ford could have some type of interaction next week or the week after, whatever it is. But I think Dustin Rhodes will advance in his match. Lance Archer, I just can't see Cole. The guy is just fucking come in. And for those that don't know, we had Cody this week. They were talking to him, interview, quote unquotes, about Lance Archer. Lance Archer wanted to challenge Cody, and Cody made a statement online, and Cody basically said, he goes, look, I'm not going to face Lance Archer right now. And, they're not blowing their load right away, but eventually it's going to be Cody versus Lance Archer. And I'm just feeling that maybe Cody versus Lance Archer is going to be the finals. And I think Lance Archer will get that belt, that title. It's possible we may get Cody versus Dustin. They might want to revisit that match, which some people thought was a top 3 candidate last year. But I personally think it comes down to Lance Archer and Cody, and Lance Archer gets the win, gets a title. That's just the way I see it right now. There are some names that I'm disappointed aren't in this tournament, but keep in mind something I said 3 or 4 weeks ago that a lot of people only seem to be paying attention to now because of Roman Reigns pulling out of Mania and stuff like that. When they were forced to go to, empty arenas, both WWE and AEW told their entire roster that if you do not feel comfortable coming to the building, traveling, and working right now, stay at home. You will not be penalized. You will not be reprimanded. Totally optional. Triple H, that ridiculous interview he did over the weekend, trying to sugarcoat it and everything. It's you, especially WrestleMania time. Come on. Seriously. You had certain wrestlers, and I don't want to name names, we talked about it before, but you had certain wrestlers that did not want to go to Saudi Arabia because of the government, because of Khashoggi, because of other things that have happened in Saudi Arabia. And at that time, too, Saudi Arabia, totally optional, but if you want to go, extra payday, extra bucks, because they overpay, some people overpay. Saudi Prince overpays. That's why he got Shawn Michaels out of retirement. We all begged Shawn Michaels for 10 fucking years or whatever it was. I retired. I said, we'd run to HBK, DX. No problem. And again, I don't blame Shawn Michaels at all. Nice nest egg for his family, his wife, his kid. So I don't blame him. But that money is what did it. So you had a couple of wrestlers. Go back and look at the timeline. Look at Saudi a year or so ago, and then look at the halt, how some of the push for 2 people in particular. I won't name their names. They're both male. Obviously, women, much more difficult time performing in Saudi Arabia. But 2 guys, both scheduled to appear at WrestleMania. We don't need to name their names, but they chose not to go. And just look at one of their pushes for a title before Saudi Arabia, and look what happened after. The other guy, look at his win-loss record right before Saudi Arabia, look at it after. The only reason why I'm not saying the names is because I don't want to start any controversial stuff or anything like that. You just look at the roster, look and you'll be able to figure it out. So, Carmelo, he says, quite the prediction. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. No, but seriously, at the time, we did not realize that one person was losing their championship opportunity. The other person, we did not expect that person to all of a sudden start losing 95% of his matches. As time went on, you started to realize that some people who not only turned down Saudi Arabia, but were vocal about turning down Saudi Arabia, they got penalized for it. And I think WWE, more than anything, we're WrestleMania time. Although it doesn't feel like Mania, this is still WrestleMania for WWE. And trust me, there are a few people that and Roman Reigns is obviously Teflon, and because of his illness and being around family and, elderly, obviously is an inflated risk. But others, to start pushing certain things and having to take it away, WWE is not happy with that. AEW, though, AEW will go out of their way to do the opposite. And you got to give much kudos to AEW for that. Now, as far as the title goes, this TNT Championship, I like it. And Frankie Kazarian, I believe, wrote over the weekend that back in the day, he and Christopher Daniels pitched to TNA to have a Spike TV title. And TNA didn't like the idea, didn't do anything with it. Now, the reason why I like the TNT title is for one reason and one reason only. Spike TV was heavily invested in TNA. My God, when Hogan came in and Bischoff came in, and then you had some of the MMA guys, all the talk was, Spike TV had a financial, a part of what was going on. They had an investment. USA Network, I don't believe it has anything to do monetarily with WWE signing people and putting them on Raw. Okay, so you go back and you look at Spike TV and how involved they were. That's the reason we got that god-awful King Mo stuff and the fucking August 1st warning. I'm not Batista. I need a warning. That fucking sucked. And I guarantee you, if Spike TV wasn't so financially invested in TNA at the time, and especially with all the MMA stuff they were doing, I don't think there was any chance that TNA would have seriously considered some of the people in that fucking UFC world to put them in the spots that they were in. I'll never forget when Tito Ortiz debuted. I mean, that was right in the middle when I had that, the issues with Bully Ray. Go back and just look at crowd reaction, listen to it. I mean, it was just the funniest shit. It was garbage. So here with TNT and AEW, Turner is heavily invested in AEW. TNT, like I said, very rare do I ever see USA Network really pushing NXT on other days. Once in a blue moon, I see an NXT commercial, and that is rare. And I watch some stuff on USA Network. But I can't tell you how many times I go on TNT, what's that other network that they have? Not TBS, but they have that, Impractical Jokers is on it. Someone in the chat will mention the other networks. I mean, the other day, I had put on something on one of the other channels, and there was like a 3 or 4 minute infomercial on AEW. This was not TBS or TNT. I can't remember the name of the network right now. Somebody will definitely bring it up. True TV. Thank you very much, Toon. True TV. Chat as well. You go on True TV. And even just leave that network on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Leave it on for about 2 hours. Even if you're on a computer, just leave it in playing in the background. I guarantee within those 2 hours, you will hear at least 1 or 2 AEW commercials. And if you're lucky, you'll get that big 4 minute infomercial version of it. They are really pushing AEW a lot more than you know. So them creating a title, and people were like, I saw people writing online, I totally respect people's views, but they were like, could you imagine if WWE would have launched the USA Network title, or WCW launched the TBS title or the TNT title. It was totally different at the time. WCW maybe because of Turner having so much money invested in it, but WWE, again, USA Network is not monetarily invested in those contracts. You know, ad revenue and other things, of course, but TNT has a much bigger footprint in AEW than I think some people realize. So to put a title that is going to be defended on that show, what's wrong with that? Seriously. If it's a nice looking belt and it's going to be defended, you know, and I don't understand, like, and I played that clip earlier, what I talked about last week, and I said it last week as well. You know, MJF's ring, you know, I don't know why people thought that MJF was going to be defending the ring. The ring. What, is going to be an angle where he has to take the ring off and put it on someone else's hand? No, that's fucking stupid. Seriously. Like I said last week, the only thing that should ever happen is somebody should take the ring and run away with it and then do a video clip where they're on the fucking pier and just toss it in the ocean. Bing. They don't have to throw the actual ring in the ocean. Throw a rock in the ocean. Nobody knows. And then when AEW has, you know, their little, you know, memorabilia area years from now, you have the ring on display. You didn't think we really were going to throw away the ring, did you? You know, but MJF defending the ring, stupid, man. This title is needed. It's going to be defended on TNT. Maybe it will be defended on pay-per-view as well. But people that are really going over the top and ripping it apart and comparing it to WWE, could you imagine if they had the Fox title? You know, it's not the same. It is not the same. Plus, you got to understand, too, AEW is in existence for not even a year. And TNT, let me say it like this. Does anybody out there feel that Fox is helping build WWE bigger? Now, seriously, ask yourself this. Does Fox, for SmackDown, does it feel that Fox hosting SmackDown every week is trying to help SmackDown get bigger? No. It feels like Fox needed to fill a void, that they were losing sports last year, and they filled the void by putting pro wrestling on. They needed to fill a void. Raw, does it feel like USA Network airing Raw is being done because they want to see, they're trying to help WWE get bigger? Trying to get more. Of course, they want ratings, but no, it doesn't feel that way. But TNT, yeah, franchise. Fox made a deal with WWE to get more content because they paid them a lot of. Put it this way. Let me say it like this. Fox gave WWE a crazy amount of money, and they told WWE, we want an alternate show. No problem. We want SmackDown. No problem. We want to do a talk show on FS1. No problem. Fox is trying to get as much of a return on what they spent their money on. They don't want to give that crazy kind of money. It's like getting a prostitute. You give a fucking prostitute $20, you don't expect anything more than a blowjob. You give a fucking escort, pay her $1,000 to come over your house. You want to get laid. You wanted to fucking do your laundry, cook you dinner, give you a massage, bust your nut again, and then fucking write on social media that she's your girlfriend. You want to get as much money much in return for the money you spent. Fox fucking paid for a high-priced escort. With AEW and TNT took a promotion that was brand new and trying to make it grow, make it bigger. The more money AEW makes a success, the more that TNT gets out of it as well. So this AEW owes a lot to TNT because that is where they started and it's growing. If WWE would have done that for the USA Network in the early 90s, I don't think people would have thought it was so far-fetched. But right now, Fox bought WWE to fill voids and to put content on their network. I don't think TNT just is airing AEW to put wrestling on their network. They have a lot invested in the company itself and want to see it grow. That's why they gave them a multi-year deal. So AEW doesn't have to worry, oh, what the fuck? If we get dropped next year, what are we going to do? What if we can't find it on the network? Well, that was fun. You know, give everybody hugs, see you in a convention. You know, no, they locked them in for several years to give AEW that opportunity to grow, take the pressure off. So that's the deal. It's, you know, you cannot compare TNT to AEW and then WWE with the networks they're on. It's two totally different things. I know it sounds funny and amusing in a fucking tweet. Could you imagine if they made the Fox title? Everybody would laugh at it. Yeah, no, I agree with that sentence, but you can't just look at it at face value like that. You got to look at the overall scope of everything. So, wow, we did an hour and 10 minutes already. You know, look, anybody out there could go, AEW tonight from Norcross, Georgia, attendance 11, you know. Oh, I wanted to just chew the fat, talk to you all about a few things. And again, that was an April fucking Fool's joke earlier about the shirt. Actually, the shirt was old. It had a lot of lint balls on it. I was going to actually use it as a rag anyway. Not because I'm mad or anything, but I said, you know what? I'll just have some fun, April Fools, you know. I mean, you don't want me to start making up wrestling stuff, do you? I mean, it is still April 1st. I mean, we could do that, but I don't think anybody out there wants that. So anyway, you know, I got to make mention of this because I totally forgot about this last week. And by the way, knock on wood, this is now 4 straight shows. No audio issues, no video issues, no buffering, no crazy sound. You know, it sounds like I'm in a fucking tunnel. Apparently it was bad cables, and I changed a little bit of settings here and there. I don't know if the video looks a little different today. I had to reload my webcam, and all the settings that I had for contrast and brightness and all this gain shit, it all got deleted. So I had to, tonight, literally 10 minutes before the show, just tweak it a little bit to make it, you know, as good as possible. So if the video color looks slightly different this week, that's why. But knock on wood, so far so good, thank God. Why is Gooch saying shots fired towards Solomon? So what did I say? Did I say anything? I have no idea. I have no idea. But, you know, if you all have any questions, you know, while we're doing this, yeah, I'll answer a couple here and there. The Wheel of Fortune thing, I got it right here. We're going to be doing it soon. You know, I said just give me a couple of months. Let's get past this WrestleMania stuff, and then we'll start really having fun with it. We'll do some contests. And by the way, for everybody with the shirts 2 weeks ago, I have everybody's on order. There are 2 people that I'm waiting to hear back their shirt size. They gave me their address. They told me what they wanted, but they never sent me their shirt size. So everybody, like I said, you contact me on Twitter. You know, and you have to contact me on Twitter. Can't send emails or Facebook or stuff like that because, you know, I do get people sometimes claiming to be people that they're not, trying to get free stuff. And even yours truly has crazy bills right now. Remember, I got engaged in November. I still owe $8,000 on the fucking ring. But, so anyway, let me give you all also the plan this week. Friday, right after Smackdown, I am going to be doing the Don Tony show. I am going to be doing WrestleMania predictions. I'm holding off on predictions because I want to see how everything plays out on TV Friday with Smackdown that explains Roman Reigns being pulled and Miz not being on and this and that. Now, as far as this weekend goes, my fiance's birthday is Saturday. We did not celebrate my birthday last week. I had the privilege of being on this channel with all of you last Friday for 5 hours. Thank you, everybody who tuned in live. Download it as well, the replay, but live, it was epic. Had a beautiful, kick-ass time. Mission, I could have gone 5 more hours. And the interactive, the super chat, everything was awesome. And we are going to be doing it again very, very soon. And I got this son of a bitch ready to go. I pussied out last Friday because I was nervous that I might get sick from it, and I didn't want to fuck up my weekend. But the point is, this Friday, I will be here solo. Saturday, I will also probably be here solo. I know a lot of you out there wanted to have these joint shows, but here's the facts. Soup is not sure exactly what they're doing yet, and they had advertised the 3, Draper, Mish, and Joey. So, they got their own thing. Me, I plan on spending Saturday night with my fiance. So, I plan on coming up here live, but it's not going to be, the end of the earth if I do it on an hour or two, delay and just upload the video later on. It's got to see how the night goes. If she pisses me off or I piss her off and she's in a bad mood and I'm like, all right, fuck you, I'm going to go here and do the show live, then I will. I'll keep everybody updated on this channel and on Twitter. So if you subscribe to this channel and you do that, what is it? There's a setting that you can put where you can actually get notifications, like when I announce like a show. So I will put up a notification Friday, and by Friday I should know. Sunday, I'm not sure either. There's going to be a recap every night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But as of right now, I plan on doing the weekend probably solo, and it's probably not going to be live because I don't even know what time I'm going to be able to do it yet. So, So, yeah, Campos, that's not happening. If I'm going to be here, doing technical stuff, then I might as well do the show, right? So, but you will have 3 shows this weekend. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about tonight a little bit more. So, we had AEW Dynamite again at the Nightmare School, Academy, whatever you want to call it. Now, I said earlier that there's something that I completely forgot to bring up last week. It totally escaped me. It had to do with NXT, as we called them last week. The black guys. Amazing, right? Unbelievable. Bivens Enterprises. I couldn't believe social media last week. Who are these 2 black guys? Do they fucking look black at all? Yeah, I might as well mention it now. Rinku Singh. Saurav Gurjar, but Rinku Singh, a lot of you will be, holy shit, I didn't even realize that. I totally forgot. I forget things as well. Do you remember a baseball movie that came out a couple of years ago called The Million Dollar Arm? And it was about this, Indian kid or, young adult who fucking could throw like beautiful, like The $1 Million Arm. You remember that movie? Disney came out with it. Rinku Singh is him. The movie is based on him. He, I think, originally had a deal with the Pirates, I believe, but he is who that movie was about. I totally fucking forgot. He won a game show as well. I don't know how much of that story WWE will show publicly, but they would be morons not to bring that up. I mean, I know, NXT is not on Fox, but especially since they want to put this sports element in so much with WWE programming, that is a cool fucking story. And I'm sure maybe a sports website, non-wrestling, has covered, his debut since last week as far as NXT goes. But if those non-wrestling sports sites have not written a story about him since last week, that's fucking sad. especially that we're in coronavirus right now and none of these other sports are doing anything. Yeah, ESPN should definitely cover it. Maybe WWE right now doesn't want to humanize him. They want him to be, the way they portrayed him last week and this week. But man, that is a fabulous talk about cool backgrounds about people. Mish and I, since day one, always sung the praise for Lacey Evans with a military background. Sure, what is translated on television, it's not always been good, but her background is an amazing story. And it's cool that they turned her a little bit babyface because they were able to let people know a little bit more about Lacey Evans' story. But there's a lot of others as well. That Jake Atlas guy that got squashed today, even though he got squashed today, you look at when he signed with the WWE not too long ago and about his, his sexuality and everything else, there's an inspirational story behind it. Even last week we were talking about that gentleman that wrestled and he was part of the military and, he had fucking escaped bombs in Afghanistan. I don't know if WWE now has on their resume, must have wrestling experience, must have a high school degree, must have an inspirational story as well, because, you're suddenly finding tons and tons of inspirational stories. But that is cool. ESPN absolutely should do a story on that guy. It's a pretty cool story. And you look at his size, and you just say to yourself, this fucking guy was going to be a baseball player? I mean, he's gotten huge since then. You look at the Disney film, I mean, that kid doesn't look like this. Granted, it's many years later, but still, that's a guy that, they can have some fabulous stories about. But anyway, we had Kenny Omega defeat Trent Beretta, the opening match tonight on AEW. Very fun match. Those two guys tore it up for an empty arena, with the exception of a couple of wrestlers at ringside. Again, not trying to be an asshole. Please do not interpret it that way. But last week we had nobody at ringside. Today we had the opposite. Why? Because they're trying to ride that fine line as far as, look, if having social distancing, if that's a recommendation and not a requirement, and they're telling you why it's so important to keep your distance from people, I hate that because it's not an official law, you can't be fined or in trouble over it, that you just try to, walk that line extremely fine. Respect the fucking thing. By the way, you got to give me a little credit on this one. I have been talking about this for 2 or 3 weeks now, that WWE, other than, wash these hands, they have done no goddamn PSAs telling their young fans, especially since coronavirus does not kill the young. It's very rare. Where are all the WWE public service announcements telling their younger viewers, the older viewers, stay at home? Keep your distance, this, and that. You may not get hurt by it, but grandma could get very sick over it. Where are all the fucking public service announcements? They can't do it. Where are the big public service announcements, AEW? They can't do it. Neither for one, because they look like hypocrites. So what happens today? Oh my God, there's a public service announcement suddenly from Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, because she's got to be the face, the second face of the WWE, so we'll put the public service announcement on her. But, again, it's just the picture of, but you see, Dragon Star, you're proving my point. He or she says, I think it's a he, that last week in Jacksonville, they have more strict policies. You see the projections of 200,000 people dying. You see that you could have the virus and have no symptoms. That interview with Brain Dead Stephanie over the weekend, where she's like, if anybody has a fever of 100.4 or higher, we don't let them in the building, we send them home. So somebody could have a 100.1 fever and still be allowed to wrestle. Think about that for a minute. 100.4, she didn't make up that number. She didn't pull it out of a hat. 100.4 is where you start crossing the path of a low-grade fever. So that's walking the fine line. And, you talk about Jacksonville last week. If they're recommending the whole country for social distancing, if they're saying, because again, that Stephanie interview, that same interview that they did with her, the same outlet that interviewed did an interview with a doctor. And the fucking doctor says, oh, people could have coronavirus and have no symptoms. You don't have to have fever to have coronavirus. And that doctor's statement totally blew Stephanie's comments out of the water to show that people can have coronavirus and not even have any symptoms of it. So the fact that you still have to walk Jacksonville has stricter guidelines, so we can't have anybody at ringside. But Norcross, Georgia, they say, just have 10 people around. So, we'll push it. We'll have 10. I think that's a little ridiculous. Set an example. Set an example. Now, don't get me wrong. What I saw on TV, as a selfish wrestling fan, I enjoyed it. Seeing Guevara and Spears betting during the match, it's goofy, but in this day and age, right now with coronavirus, goofy is okay. It's better than nothing. It ain't killing the promotion. But Trent Beretta and Omega tore it up. I think the story of that match today, 20-minute time limit, they went 19 minutes. See if, Trent Beretta could go the distance. Obviously, he could not. Kenny Omega gets the win. Excellent match to open up AEW. You kind of, wish that there was a live crowd there to take it in. I do miss the This Is Awesome chants. I do miss that energy. Having a couple of people shouting in the background actually does help. I'm really disappointed that WWE has elected not to do any of that. Fuck this with the, people are going to say they copied AEW, this and that. I know you're going to say to me, well, maybe they didn't do it because they didn't want to ride that fine line. Yeah, maybe you have 2 or 3 people at ringside when there's only 2 people in the ring. But if you look, especially in the main event tonight in AEW, count all the people on that side. That picture that was painted to me was, all right, you're allowed to have 10, or they recommend 10. It's just a recommendation. It's just a recommendation. But the match was excellent. After the match was over, Kenny Omega shook Trent Beretta's hand. Nice opening match. On the opposite side for NXT, they had a decent opening match as well with Velveteen Dream. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Next, we had Hikaru Shida taking on Anna Jay. Went 5 minutes, which I thought was a little bit longer than it needed to go. I don't know anything about Anna Jay. I will look it up. I wouldn't be surprised if she maybe is a student of the Nightmare School. She's probably from the Atlanta area. Was not a bad match. It just felt like, okay, Hikaru Shida to me is the number 1 female in AEW as far as talent goes and everything else. This was to pad another win under her belt. And it wasn't a bad match. It had its moments here and there, but, 5 minutes, it went as long as it needed to go. Britt Baker was sitting in the crowd, quote unquote, and it was interesting because at one point she's eating a sandwich and Sheeta tried to get her attention. You're going to find out that some content was taped today for future episode or 2. I think right now WWE and AEW have only planned a week or 2 ahead. Because I talked about it on Monday's show. I am very curious to see what happens with WWE and AEW 2 weeks from now. Next week, they can get away with it with some replays from Wrestlemania and NXT AEW could get away with it because they recorded, I even think they recorded Hager and Moxley last week. They can get away with a week or two with matches under their belt. What happens after the next 2 episodes? I want to see what happens after the next 2 NXT episodes and the next 2 AEW episodes. Do not rule it out that they both go on hiatus for a week or two. Maybe I do not discount the possibility of you having a best of show. Maybe even AEW. I still think Omega and Page versus Young Bucks is a match they can put on Dynamite and absorb the whole hour, and nobody that is an AEW fan will complain. When you have a match that some people, and yeah, this is overblown, but when you have some people calling it the greatest tag team match that they've ever seen in their lifetime, obviously weren't on this earth all that long because it's not the greatest match ever in tag team wrestling history. It's an excellent match, but it's one of those matches that if you aired it in its entirety, put some commercial breaks in there, and it absorbed half of Dynamite, nobody would complain. Very few people would complain. Remember that the AEW buy rate, we still don't even know what it is. And I think my prediction at the time was 100 or 125,000 buys. A lot of people think that because the buy rate wasn't announced yet, that it was very disappointing. Even if the buy rate was 100,000, their Dynamite episodes get 800,000, sometimes 900,000. So you're talking 8. Now, let's also be fair. A lot of people have seen that match since Revolution aired. A lot of people have seen that match on the bootleg. Didn't buy the pay-per-view. So a lot of people have seen that match since. But even if you want to say, okay, an extra 100,000 people saw that match since then, that's still, your Dynamite crowd is 4 times the size of your crowd watching the pay-per-view. Plus, you have diehard NXT fans that don't like AEW, that they would be seeing this for the first time. That might get fans to change the channel and stay glued on AEW for even an hour. So there is no reason for AEW to have 1 or 2 weeks of a best of or a 6-month review. Like I was going to say this earlier, next week or the week after, probably 2 weeks from now, what I want to do is I want to go down AEW's entire roster. It's not as big as you think. I want to go down their entire roster, and I want to, one by one, bring up the particular people, and let's discuss and explain, give our opinions if we think that someone's stock has risen since last year or it's gone down since last year. Look, AEW has not done a great job with character development on the younger wrestlers. They've done a terrible job with Sonny Kiss and a few others. They may not be ready for prime time, which we've talked about before, but some of the character development has been god-awful. But some wrestlers, their stock has substantially risen. Even if we just go to last 6 months, there's no doubt Darby Allin, Guevara. I remember when AEW first was on TV for a couple of weeks, and a lot of us just could not get into Guevara. Then suddenly, I don't know what the turning point was, but little by little, the idea of the Spanish God, maybe it was using the cell phone and, doing the things. Maybe it was that move where he was in the top rope, where he had the cell phone out, and we didn't see, the young buck laid on the mat. We only saw what we said, and people online are like, what did the guy die? I think that might have been the turning point with Guevara, with momentum. But we're going to do that. I think probably in 2 weeks. So, what's up, Yippee Bomb? Yippee Bomb! Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! What's going on? Thank you, my friend. By the way, for everybody tuning in, if you are enjoying this show, want to show some support, hit the like button. And it was funny because right before I even said that, I saw a couple of likes popping up. You know why? Because, again, I'm only on YouTube for less than 3 months. And, you know, a lot of people were telling me, you got to push those likes, push those likes, push those likes. Now I understand it shows up in recommendations, other places, and that'll help me a great deal, get the word out. Because a lot of people still don't know that yours truly is now a video guy. So, you know, some people, you know, give me a little plug or a shout out here and there, but it's usually as they're grinding their teeth at the same time. So, but anyway, let's get back to Dynamite. So Shida beats Anna Jay, another notch on the belt. Moxley, video package, hyping up Moxley versus Jake Hager. And, you know, it was funny because I know some people caught it, but a lot of people didn't. I immediately caught when Jon Moxley said that he's got ruthless aggression. Ruthless aggression! He said he had ruthless aggression today. Look, they're hyping up the match between the two. They milked it for another week, which obviously is the right way to go right now because of the limitations they have on TV. I like the package. There's no fucking way that Jake Hager is beating Moxley for the belt, but it was a nice package. One thing I thought about today, and I know we have that Moxley Omega match that was all controversial that closed out that pay-per-view. But I tell you, watching that video package today of Moxley, and they also showed Hager, little MMA mixed in as well. I honestly think AEW should offer a couple of dollars to CZW. You could use other indie feds as well, but CZW especially. And they should make a little video package of Moxley's roots, because a lot of people to this day still don't know about Moxley's ultra-violent past. Some of the shit that he did is crazy. And you don't necessarily have to use that footage right now, but to keep it in the bag and you want to just whip some of those footage out later on. I mean, I wonder if anybody even realizes, if I remember correctly, didn't Brody Lee and Moxley have a match in CZW? I think they did. They should be contacting CZ, and they might have already, you know. Some people listening and watching have emailed me and PM'd me and said they're convinced that some people in AEW are watching my stuff and have gotten a couple of ideas. I could tell you without a doubt that there are other podcasters out there that have come up with similar or same ideas as me. So maybe I'm a little unique at times, and maybe I fucking nail it on the head sometimes, but I'm not the only one saying it. But they really should get some really good footage from CZW, make some packages for the future. Even if Brody Lee and Moxley cross paths down the line for a belt. I'm sure a lot of people always, you know, think of the Shield versus the Wyatt family, this and that, but it goes way beyond that. There's a lot of footage out there that is just sitting there waiting for the taking, to be taken. AEW should offer CZW a couple of bucks. You know, Dragon Star, yeah, I know that they showed the footage from Omega and before Omega and Moxley, but they have moved away from that. And, you know, when you have Moxley just sitting, talking about that he's been crazy and ruthless aggression, this and that, you know, there are a lot of other clips. You don't have to just show him fucking bleeding profusely. There's a lot of gems out there that you just flash something once in a while. You know, just flash it. It just feels like they, you know, did that at that time to hype up one match and then moved away from it. There's a lot of gold out there, and I don't think, and I'm just singling out CZW because I'm a Northeast guy, but, you know, there's other footage out there as well that is, you know, wonderful that they could use. Crown Clown. Say that fast 10 times. What's up, Clown? So we got that package to hype up Omega and Moxley. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I don't recall much history in the ring between Moxley and when he was Ambrose and Swagger in WWE. I actually did a little research last week after I had talked about it last week, and I really couldn't find anything. So I'm not saying that they never faced off on it with each other, but I really couldn't find much. Next, we had my favorite match of the night, Lance Archer destroying Marco Stunt. 3 minutes, 55 seconds. I talked about it early in the show. I don't hate Marco Stunt. Definitely inspirational. The way he's been used sometimes, just I find that suspension of disbelief being a little bit too much. People have, educated me a little bit about Marco Stunt behind the scenes, and comes off as a likable guy, very friendly, but in the ring, suspension of disbelief. And the funny thing is, like, I could think back to Mike Awesome and Spike Dudley. Mike Awesome and Spike Dudley, they had that pay-per-view match that time. And the funny thing is, and again, Wayback Machine is your friend. You go look at the websites at that time when they announced Spike Dudley versus Mike Awesome. You would think that you would have tons and tons of websites and blogs or message board posts totally annihilating. What kind of match is that? That's garbage. It's disgusting. Absent. A lot of us didn't like that on paper, but Spike Dudley was always utilized that way. So Spike Dudley didn't have a lot of hatred against him. When he first came in and they were doing the LSD, gimmick and all that stuff, he was kind of like a goof in a lot of people's eyes. But then, you saw that one, was it Beyond the Mat? What was the documentary where they showed him outside the ring? And he was talking about, I think he was a teacher or something. And I remember doing my hotline at the time, and a lot of people like, what, all right. And they started to get behind Spike Dudley a little bit. But, Spike Dudley was utilized the right way before. Marco Stunt in this case, I know this is going to piss off some AEW fans when I say this. Marco Stunt was probably utilized tonight the best that I have seen him being utilized in AEW so far. Some of the moves that he did with Santana, Ortiz, and others, it was just... I try to suspend disbelief as much as I can. I did not feel it in any of that. When he does stuff with Luchasaurus, a little bit of Jungle Boy, a little bit. But tonight, I absolutely loved that. It was pretty funny that you hype up Lance Archer's debut match and they feed him this. It was like, that's fucking hilarious. I don't know who I would have envisioned. Like, I envisioned him to destroy somebody today, but I thought maybe the teacher, the librarian, whatever that fuck's names is, that I don't even know why he's in AEW. He's just god awful. Okay, yes, thank you, Anthony Diaz. It was Beyond the Mat. Yes. Spike Dudley Beyond the Mat. A lot of people don't even know that was Spike Dudley to this day. But Peter Avalon, yeah. Maybe Peter Avalon or somebody like that. But, they gave him, Marco Stunt. Wonderful. Delightful. Loved it. I blew a load. Emotional load. Next, we had the Natural Nightmares. I don't like the name of that tag team. QT Marshall. He's a good guy. He's impressed a lot of people who never followed him before. Very big part of behind the scenes. I just can't get past QT. What was that cartoon? Anybody remember the cartoon? And I'm showing my age right now. when you say, what a cutie pie. Anybody remember what I'm talking about? Cutie pie. Like, QT is just like, oh, what a cutie pie. Wasn't it an old lady in a cartoon? He's such a cutie pie. I just can't get past QT. So, but hey, you know, they formed him as a tag team. You know, he's not bad. They got the win over the fucking Dark Order Scrubs today. After the match is over, or was it Creepers 8 and 9? Is that what they're calling them? Yeah, there was a cartoon where some lady, I think, used to say, he's a cutie pie. I don't know. Was it Tweety Bird? I don't think it was Tweety Bird. It might have been that fucking old lady from those cartoons. You know, the one that had the extra long dress. You couldn't even see her ankles. It was always like a blue, ugly dress. Granny? Is that her? The grandma? Granny? I think she might have said that. But I don't know. QT Marshall? I don't know. I don't like the name, but hey, it is what it is. So then Brody Lee comes out, squashes, was it Creeper number 8? I don't know. It is what it is. The main event, you know, Shawn Spears and Guevara beating Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. It was a fun match. People at ringside, you know, getting really loud and animated. Funny shit with Guevara and Shawn Spears gambling, even gambling on moves, which was funny. You know, no less, I wouldn't call them the Dark Order 0.8 yet, because the whole Aces and 0.8 storyline was horrendous. You know, people don't know what I'm talking about. When TNA had the Aces and 8s, from the get-go, I thought it was so awful. I said that they're so bad that their ratings are going to be 0.8s. And sure enough, their rating went down to a 0.8. And we even at one time, we made a T-shirt up. I had my friend that was a designer make up an Aces and 0.8 shirt. And TNA at the time sent me a legal cease and desist. I had that Where's the Boom? We were going to make fun of Jeff Jarrett's promotion, Global instead of it being Global Force Wrestling, I had Global Farce Wrestling, and I had the woman, Where's the Beef? You know, so we were going to make a Global Farce Wrestling shirt, and I got a cease and desist on that one as well. You know, and yeah, I probably could have got away with the satire stuff, but to me, it wasn't worth it. I don't need drama in my life, even a couple of years ago. Where's the boom? Yeah, instead of where's the beef, where's the boom? Because Jeff Jarrett was telling everybody there was a boom. And I think I have the right to say this. I think I was probably the loudest person at that time, consistently, you know, saying that, you know, it was ridiculous what he was saying. And if you remember, Jeff Jarrett, like, tweaked his definition of boom as months went by. You know, first it was this, then it was this, and then it was this. And then all the websites, you know, they go along with it because they want to get tweet fucked. They want to get a hand job. They want to be followed, you know, by all these people. That doesn't arouse me. You know, what arouses me is when haters hate so much that I cause like hives on their body. There are podcasters right now, even people, some that claim to be my friend, that anytime there's good news for yours truly, they get hives. They get bumps on their skin. That's almost as great as, you know, I never really smoked weed in my life, but I know some of you out there do smoke weed or used to smoke weed. And when you get that stoned feeling, you're like, oh, I'm fucking stoned. That's the equivalent. When they get those emotional hives on their body, that arouses me. Getting attention from people out there don't arouse me. But the main event tonight was funny as fuck. You know, it's funny because you remember several months ago, there was some type of a stipulation that if Darby Allin won, that he wanted another shot at Cody. Anybody remember that? Was that what it was? And it felt like that the match was put together with the sole purpose. I don't know if it was Darby Allin and Cody or Darby Allin and someone else. But I remember they put this match together, and it felt like the only reason why that match was put together, so to set up that additional match. I think Darby Allin wanted another shot at somebody, and it may not have even been Cody. But it felt like this match today was put together for two reasons. Number one, because these wrestlers are facing each other in the TNT tournament. But number two, it feels like this is set up to have a little bit of tease of friction between Darby Allin and Cody. All right, franchise is saying to me, was Darby teaming up with Cody against the Butcher and the Blade? Yes, you are absolutely right. Remember, Darby agreed to team with him because he wanted the rematch. The storyline that you remember when I said like 2 or 3 months ago, one thing I don't like about AEW is that they delay storylines an extra week or two. I'll give you a good example. When Pac and the Lucha Brothers destroyed Best Friends in the ring, you would have thought, common sense, logic, Best Friends would challenge the Lucha Brothers, and maybe Pac as well, the following week. No, they didn't do that. They waited an extra week, and then Best Friends challenged them. Like, they waited an extra week. That's one thing I don't fucking like about AEW. They haven't done it as much now as before, but you hit it on the head. Darby said he'll agree to team up with Cody because he wants that rematch. So here it is. It's it's a little bit messy, but I think you see Darby Allin and Cody in this tournament, and that dissension at the end of Dynamite tonight was to tease what we will get in the near future. I'm not complaining about that match. I think it'll be interesting. Again, what I said last week when I heard Cody and Jim Ross saying that Darby Allin reminds them of a young Sting. And if you remember, I did that horrible ow last week. In fact, I can't even cough all that much right now. I was fake coughing on Frank and Gus earlier. People thought I was really got coronavirus. That's how bad I was coughing. It was fake. I was going to come on here and start coughing all night long, try to convince people that. Then I'm like, I ain't joking about fucking virus. No fucking way. So I did strain my throat a little bit today earlier. And, overall, I thought AEW was a fun show. My favorite spot of the night was a spot that a lot of people, I don't know why they complained online. They showed Jericho in a hot tub. It was funny that he was wearing pants in the hot tub. And I think that was done by design to have some laughter with it. But Jericho is in the hot tub and he's making fun of Omega, I wrote down what he called Omega earlier. I gotta pull this out. Do I have it here? Oh yeah, he called him a pumpkin-headed dipshit. So he's going one by one on making fun of the Young Bucks, Matt Hardy, and he's in the hot tub, and then all of a sudden Vanguard 1 is flying by. And Jericho's talking to Vanguard 1 as if it's a person. And it was funny because Vanguard 1 has that little hole on the bottom. And that thing can't hold that much weight. But, Jericho's got an Inner Circles shirt that is so fucking small. It's like the size for an infant. And he's got on his tiny little wire hanger and he's saying, look, the offer is still here if you want to join the Inner Circle. And he's talking to the drone, and he hooks the shirt on the drone, and the drone starts to fly away, and Jericho is just having a conniption. Where you going? This is that. Come back. And then Jericho, he runs out of the hot tub, and he's wearing long pants. And then he says, release the hounds. And we had all these dogs come out. And you had these tiny little fucking bitchy little fucking tiny dogs. My fiance has 3 Yorkies. They're cute. But, when they fucking bark when the doorbell rings, I'm like, who the fuck's going to be afraid of that? What's the dog going to do? Pee on your fucking leg if you break into the house? Shut the fuck up. But, Jericho releasing the hounds, and these dogs are barking at Vanguard 1, and Vanguard 1's camera is looking down on the dogs, and they're barking at. I'm like, man, that's fucking, that reminds me when I go over to somebody's house and they got a dog, and you want to, give Spike a biscuit. And then my friend will go in the other room, and, I'll take the biscuit, and instead of giving it, as soon as the dog's about it, I do this. I'll be like, I just keep pulling it away. And it was funny because the dogs, it looked like they were being teased about the t-shirt. They were trying to get a Vanguard 1. But, it's goofy. Come back here. Come back. There's nothing. I don't know why people get so fucking serious about stuff like that. It's wacky. It's comedic. It's goofy. So what? So what? And it's funny when I see people online saying, oh, if that segment aired on WWE, you would be ripping the shit out of it. No, that's not true. Because WWE has done some comedic stuff in the past. Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, Jericho. I mean, come on, the list. They did a lot of comedic stuff that we laughed at. If something is funny, it's funny. If it's goofy, it's goofy. They have to milk this extra weeks. Jericho said, when the virus is out of here and the fans could come back, and he brought up blood and guts, and AEW is trying to extend this storyline as long as it can without shifting feuds. That's what they're trying to do. And Jericho's not the champion right now. Again, it's Inner Circle versus Elite. And in the end, Hangman Page might be the biggest focus on this whole thing. But in the meantime, we got a fucking virus. Blood and Guts is not happening. Remember, Blood and Guts was supposed to happen, 2 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago? So every week that goes by, they have to figure out a creative way to keep that storyline going without too much interaction. Plus, you keep them apart a little bit. So I thought the show was funny today. I enjoyed it. If you look at the matches on paper, one thing you cannot deny. Since AEW and WWE have been forced to have their shows in empty buildings, AEW has done a fabulous job with the empty arena by leaps and bounds over WWE. Not even close. It's not even close. WWE, when I said skeleton crew from 3 weeks ago, you still feel that way. AEW, it's not $1 billion company and a publicly traded company, but they have done a hell of a lot better at the empty arena than WWE has. Is it as good as a live show with fans? No, not even close. But, again, if we're going to be selfish and want to see something right now, it's better than nothing. I just wish that AEW would record and just air. They don't need to tell everybody, we're live. We're live. Whether that show would have been live today or taped, I think the same fans would have still tuned in. Record as much as you can beforehand. And if you have to go on hiatus for 2-3 weeks, you have so much in the bag. It reminds me of ECW. I mean, yeah, ECW's ratings weren't like this. But I remember ECW, the old ECW. They'd have events taped, and we would see it span across 3 weeks. It was a 1-hour show, and it was late at night. But the point is that, they don't have goofs leaking spoilers. All right? Moxley and Hager, we're pretty sure was recorded last week. Anybody know the spoiler? I mean, yeah, we could all guess and say, yeah, Moxley won. No fucking shit. But the point is that you don't have goofs, straggler goofs, who are looking for tweet hand jobs right now that happen to be in the building, and they call their butt buddy online, and they say, hey, man, this went down, and this person won, and this happened. Oh, shit, this guy showed up, and blah, 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 blah. So they could be recording a lot of shit right now, It's almost like stockpiling. Look, people are hoarding paper towels. People are hoarding toilet paper. They're hoarding masks. They're hoarding Lysol. Hoard some fucking matches. Put a whole fucking, look. I don't know if you can see it. See my toilet paper? Could you see that? I don't know if you can. You probably can't. I got like 20 rolls of toilet paper. And the only reason why I got 20 rolls is because I go through 2 or 3 rolls a week. I'm on keto. I ship fucking boatloads. And I got my girl here too. So 20 rolls of toilet paper, I go through 20 in a month. But you stockpile some stuff. Fucking AEW, stockpile some matches, man. So I knew. Shout out to High Ridge Estates. I knew when I said butt buddies, my thought was, okay, who is going to get triggered in the chat room? So it's all for fun. So anyway, NXT. Sorry, everybody. Not as exciting as AEW. Was not a bad show. Velveteen Dream versus Bobby Fish. It was not a bad match. I thought it was decent. Velveteen Dream, surprised Bobby Fish with a Dream Valley driver, gets the win. It only went about 7 or 8 minutes. It was an okay opening, but again, it just feels like, things are just being put together. And yeah, look, AEW, yes, we all need buddies. I know you didn't mean any malice by it, but, some phrases I say now in 2020, some people take it way wrong. I know when people know, just kidding. But, Velveteen Dream against Bobby Fish, look, his feud with Roderick Strong was great and everything, but here was my problem with tonight's episode of NXT. Sure, we had the women's match for the final spot in the ladder match for the number 1 contender for the women's title. Okay, fine. But we're going into goddamn WrestleMania. We're going into technically NXT TakeOver. And the first thing you open up with is Velveteen Dream and Bobby Fish. You know what I mean? You just like, if you want to carry over even from last week and you think about what went down, it just felt so random, in my opinion. And it was a decent match. It was a fun match. Velveteen Dream, we think the feud is going to be with Adam Cole. But I don't know. It just felt more like, oh, these two are in the building. Let's put them in a match with each other. And I understand, like Sterling is saying, NXT always feels forced these days. No, I'll tell you what it feels like. And I think some people may not admit it publicly, but I think deep down inside they agree with this as well. WWE, because it's a publicly traded company, and I think this is the number one reason. Can you imagine if some of their wrestlers get coronavirus and they were in the empty arena the last couple of weeks, and because of the interaction with all the other wrestlers, that they would have to quarantine almost their entire roster for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 5 weeks, and we're leading right into WrestleMania. That just appearance, especially you figure the fact that the stock has gone down 65% and is still going down. It's hovering in the mid-30s right now. And again, a story that nobody really has picked up on from last week. And that is Vince McMahon, agreeing to sell 1.5 million shares of WWE stock. They may even know about that story. It's a big story that nobody's talking about. It's not, the transaction's not going to go through right away. But the point is that it feels like WWE has virtually no momentum right now. And, they're so petrified of major stars possibly getting corona, and everybody should be worried, obviously. But with AEW, like I said last week, a lot of these guys are social distancing themselves from everybody else. When you have Aubrey Edwards. I'm just picking random people right now. Aubrey Edwards, Young Bucks, Matt Hardy, Jericho, Guevara, maybe Hager. And they all agree that they're going to either be in the building or be home with their family. No interactions at stores, get things delivered, social distancing, keeping themselves clean, not going to gatherings, even with 5 people, like purposely staying away from the outside world. They'll give the perception that, they're still, doing everyday stuff, but they're not, they're being very careful. With WWE, though, because of the billion-dollar company, because of the publicly traded company, because of the stock being so down, they can't afford unforced errors. And sure, if anybody in the AEW roster right now that we saw the last 2-3 weeks, if they get hit with Corona, and they were in the ring with all these others, just think about that for a minute. Let's just say, I don't want to use any particular wrestler. Let's just say one wrestler tonight got diagnosed and tested positive for Corona. But a lot of the other wrestlers that were also there tonight show no symptoms of it. How much heat would the entire roster that was in that same building tonight, how much heat and lambasting would they receive next week, the week after, if they showed up and performed? You would have every person bringing up how, it takes a week to get symptoms and you can have it and not even realize it, blah, 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 blah. AEW doesn't have coronavirus tests in their locker room that they could just test people. It's not out there like that. I think once these tests become available for tens of millions, that'll resolve it. Because if you could test everybody that walks in the building, not for temperature, but for Corona, and everybody in the building, as far as the wrestlers and the staff goes, all test negative for Corona, then do whatever you fucking want. Want to have an orgy? Go ahead and have an orgy. Nobody has Corona. But WWE has a lot more to lose. And you see a lot of stuff being thrown together. Look, Austin Theory is going to be a star. The fuck is he doing in a tag team title match at WrestleMania? Come on. Seriously? I mean, just think about that for a minute. It's awful. But anyway, they played the repeat of Bivens Enterprises. Anybody think that Malcolm Bivens looks like Jimmy Rollins? Anybody remember the Phillies player? I think he was on the Dodgers after Jimmy Rollins. I don't know. Malcolm Bivens looks like Jimmy Rollins to me. I'm just waiting for him to put a Phillies jersey on. But they showed the recap, and again, his tag team is impressive. Loomis beating Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas has a bright future. Dexter Loomis. I can't do the eyes right now. I'm tired. It's almost 12:15 here. We're going to wrap this up soon. Went longer than I expected. Dexter Loomis looks like one of those like bad guys that you would see in like the movie Die Hard or Rambo, or maybe he was a lost member of the Truth Commission. Dexter Loomis has that international bad guy look. And, oh no, lying. Jimmy Rollins was excellent, man. Jimmy Rollins was fucking great. I wish Jimmy Rollins. See a merchant, it's 1:17 by you. Where are you that it's an hour later? I have 12:17 over here. By the way, no, Dexter Loomis and Killer Cross do not have this, and they're nowhere near going to be the same character. And you know what? We got to give congratulatories to Sam Roberts. Sam Roberts not only got the opportunity tonight to call the play-by-play with Mouthfuck Tom, but WWE issued a little article earlier today that Sam Roberts will be permanent on the announcers team. And the only thing I'm a little concerned about is, how's the announce team going to be with Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, Beth Phoenix, and Sam Roberts? I mean, you know, there's all the reports, in case you don't know, that Beth Phoenix is leaving the commentary team. But for Beth Phoenix, I mean, replacing her with Sam Roberts, I mean, to me, I know some people haven't been big fans of Beth Phoenix's commentary, even though I think she's spectacular. For the lack of time that she's been doing it, you know, to have Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness and Sam Roberts is just going to kill that chemistry. I mean, it just, you know, hey, look, you know, this was Sam Roberts' lifelong dream to be a play-by-play guy for WWE. He got the opportunity tonight, and, you know, look, if there was a time to get Sam Roberts used to doing play-by-play, it's probably pre-recorded in an empty arena without the pressure of Vince in the earpiece, all that. But, by the way, April Fools, everyone, do you fucking think that WWE would even be that goddamn stupid to put Sam Roberts in play-by-play every single week? I swear to God, I'll start fucking eating these Lysol strips. I had to do it. I didn't realize it was past midnight. I wanted to do that early tonight. But Sam Roberts. Look, under the circumstances, they needed to put someone in there. You know, hey, Sam, you want to do play-by-play? Fine. I'll let it go for one fucking night. You know, but Sam Roberts has been domesticated, you know, because he's WWE. If you listen to Sam Roberts before he started working with WWE and you listen to him now, the best way I could compare it is, you know, you bring home a new puppy, a male puppy, and, you know, what happens? You bring the puppy home, and every stuffed animal, it's like he's just humping everything he finds in sight. Just hump, 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 hump. So what do? You have the dog's nuts cut off. You cut his balls off. And then the dog all of a sudden becomes like a lap dog, you know, very relaxed, doesn't do anything. And that's what Sam Roberts is. Sam Roberts is neutered. That's what it is. He's now just a fucking, you know, he's a neutered dog. He's not, I don't dislike Sam Roberts. And I know the heelish stuff, he's forced to do it. That's the character that they want to do with him. But again, if you never paid attention to Sam Roberts before he started doing work with WWE, you would see exactly what I'm talking about. But no, Sam Roberts is not going to be a commentator. Beth Phoenix is not going anywhere. I just needed to do one April Fool's joke tonight. Just one. The shirt was good. I mean, I think people enjoyed that. But, you know, it was complete April Fool's. Trust me. If I had any issues or if I was angry or if that show was done with, ripping a shirt probably would be number 85 on my list of what I would have planned. That show's not going anywhere. Everything is cool in the gang. I was going to throw the shirt out. And then I was like, what you going to do, brother? I ripped the shirt. So, Kev, if you're seeing this, I hope you know it's an April Fool's joke. Please, nobody try to start stuff and whatever. Blah, blah, blah. But Dexter Lumis, I love his repertoire. That's a guy, keep on your radar. I love his spine buster. As far as spine busters, Arn Anderson obviously is the one that we always talk about. But there's been a lot of other wrestlers. Triple H did the spine buster. A lot of people have done the spine buster. Dexter Lumis does an awesome spine buster. That guy, keep on your radar. He definitely has something. I'm a little concerned with the WWE Universe because that character, because it's quiet and disturbing, you know, I don't know if the WWE Universe is going to troll it. You know, some people will know what I'm talking about. But, you know, another thing also with his character, you know, these wrestlers, it just looks so ridiculously stupid. Like Aleister Black from Raw. Remember the guy that he faced? And all Aleister Black is doing is just sitting in the ring folded. Now, suspension of disbelief. If I'm a pro wrestler and I know I'm going to have a match with Aleister Black, I would kind of think I would know what he would do and not do in the ring because he's on fucking TV every single week. And all Aleister Black is just sitting in the ring, folded, and his fucking Matarazzi. What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? You almost felt it coming from Jake Atlas tonight, because he's just like, he's looking at him with his eyes and everything. And Jake Atlas is like, I was like, please do not say those words. Do not fucking say those words, because if he would have said, what's he doing? What's he doing? What's he doing? Oh, man. I would want them beat up Marco Stunt style. But Dexter Lumis, quick match, did what it needed to do. Enjoyed it tremendously. It's good. Killer Cross, another vignette. Again, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but when the vignette started like a month ago or so, we were talking about it on the show. So it's been happening week after week after week. Now they've revealed that it's Killer Cross and it's going to be Scarlett Bordeaux in his corner. But we've been talking about that 4 or 5 weeks. So I am excited as fuck. It's going to be great. Let's see what WWE does with it. Now, it just feels like, remember I said it earlier with the dog? Now it feels like, okay, we're wrestling fans, and this is Killer Cross's debut on TV, and then every week, they're like teasing us. So I will sit like Aleister Black in the ring patiently, and when they do make their debut, then we will have fun and talk about it. I like the fact that they're keeping them together. I mean, that was the plan all along. And that first vignette they did 4 or 5 weeks ago, and you saw the blonde hair, the background, that was the telltale sign that it was the two. Just unfortunately, some people that don't watch NXT on a weekly basis only picked up on it a week or two ago. But look, I don't know under the circumstances if debuting them without a crowd is the way to go. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Yeah, too bad it wasn't Killer Cross that laid out what the fuck's her name last week. I'm drawing a blank right now. Io Shirai took her place. Xia Li. Wasn't Xia Li? Why? I'm so disappointed. I can't tell you how many emails I got, that people had no idea who Nancy Kerrigan was. I'm like, man, the best was the New Jack stuff yesterday and today. I'm almost tempted to start naming names of people who've been writing wrestling for about 15 years and then had the balls to try to get tweet fucked today to say that they didn't even know who New Jack was. And I'm like, wait a minute, you covered TNA when he was there. And it's just, ridiculous. But anyway, getting back to NXT. So we had the Killer Cross segment. Now here is where we had, I don't know, half the show eaten up with one match. It was, the final spot in the ladder match. Now just, this is, again, I'm not trying to dog on NXT tonight, but think about this for a minute. I could see when you're doing a tournament to determine a number one contender, or you do a tournament to crown a champion. They have been doing tournament matches for a match that's going to determine a number one contender. I mean, that extra step, to me, lost its luster a couple of weeks ago. Now, look, if Io Shirai ends up being in the finals and possibly gets the win, yeah, then I'll say, okay, it was worth it. But it just feels right now that there ain't no fucking way that Rhea Ripley is dropping that title anytime soon. And no matter who ends up facing her, I just can't see them winning right now. But tonight you had the tournament for the final spot for the match that's going to determine number one contender, and it's like, come on, man. Now, I did like the fact that they gave Shotzi Blackheart, the Bam Bam Bigelow rub, if you know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's a long-time listener knows what I'm talking about. he had that one like Survivor Series. Was it Survivor Series where he won like 3 matches and we thought that this son of a bitch could possibly, run the table? And then I think he lost like near the end. I think it was Survivor Series. Well, you know what? I think it was King of the Ring. It might have been King of the Ring. But still, I always remember when Bam Bam Bigelow was a rising star in the WWF long time ago. God rest his soul. But they had one time where he like wrestled 2 or 3 times or 4 times. And, he was putting together some wins in that night. And we really thought that maybe he's going to run the table. And at the very end, he just fell short. But even though he lost that night, he won. Shotzi Blackheart tonight showed a lot. She beat Deonna Purrazzo. She beat Xia Li. She beat Aaliyah. And she eliminated Caden Carter. Unfortunately, Dakota Kai, gets the win in the end. And Dakota Kai gets the final spot in the ladder match to determine the number 1 contender. Again, I'm not shitting on it, but I just, it should have led, like, this should be the number 1 contender. It's just, I don't like the edit match, but I get it. Under the circumstances, they got to do what they got to do. So we go on to Kushida beating Joaquin Wilde. DJ Zima Ion, that's some people still don't know that that's who Joaquin Wilde is. I still can't get past the DJC stuff, but not bad, not a bad match. 5 minutes, but Kushida, very talented, and but again, it just felt like filler. Thank God we didn't have to get the Cameron Grimes or that other fuck that I always talk about. But, now we're already in the main event. Keith Lee retaining the NXT North American Championship, defeating Dominik Dijakovic and Damian Priest. It was a decent match. In the end, Damian Priest was laid out outside the ring, and Keith Lee gets the win on Dominik Dijakovic, the Big Bang catastrophe. One thing that you could see right off the bat, Dijakovic and Keith Lee have never had a bad match. And as the fans always chanted, fight forever. But you could see how the crowd not being there, that energy that those 2 guys especially always fed off of the crowd that got them, the incentive, the energy, the hype to do some of the crazy shit that they did. And it's very hard to recreate that energy when you're in an empty building. Match went 11 minutes, a lot shorter than I think some people thought it was going to be. It was not a bad match. Damian Priest is an up-and-comer. He's got it. He's just, needs more seasoning, but he's got it. I've been saying that since week 1. But, Keith Lee retains, and it was a fun match. But unfortunately, again, when you look at, and we didn't even talk about the fucking ninjas outside, whatever. But in the end, when you look at both products, this might have been the weakest week as far as Wednesday night has been in the last month. The weakest. The matches were not bad. Omega opening it up, tonight was fun. Velveteen Dream, his match with Bobby Fish was good too, but it just felt so random, even though Velveteen and, Adam Cole are feuding. But, as far as ratings go, I tell you, even though WWE showed more matches today and the women got a lot of time tonight, I think they're going to have a difficult time staying over 600,000. Now, look, that 1 hour plus they did with Ciampa and Gargano, although a well done package, fans overall were not happy with that episode. I don't know if this episode will be as poorly rated as that one, but a lot of the matches tonight really did not keep my interest. Again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But I'm going to say NXT this week, I'm going to be generous and go a little over 600,000 again, but it's going to be barely over 600,000. I'll go with 630. 630. And it might not even be that much. I'd be very surprised if it's 630. I think it might be more like 603. But, I'm going to be a little generous, say 630. AEW, they had not a huge decline, but there was a decline last week from the week before, which I think surprised a lot of people because they weren't expecting Matt Hardy the week before. So, this being hyped up, that confrontation last week, and, Joaquin Wilde getting got nabbed, with those samurai guys, whatever. It is what it is. It's still Joaquin Wilde. Who the fuck cares, It's like early on when Michael Nakazawa was getting kidnapped from PAC. We know what Michael Nakazawa did in New Japan, but in AEW, the fuck cares if Michael Nakazawa was getting kidnapped? Kill him. Kill him, seriously. Just kill him. Nobody cares. And that storyline just went dead. Just fizzled away. But getting back to the ratings, I stick with what I said about NXT, 630, although 603 feels a little bit more in the range I think it will be. AEW, I think once again, Cody's in the main event. We had a little more Jericho-Matt Hardy interaction, but I just think that fans are not glued as they were in the past. We had a little Moxley package, but not enough. I say AEW does 817. 817. And that might even be a little bit generous too. So what, 817 to 630? We'll see. Sometimes it's scary how spot on with the ratings, but we'll know tomorrow. So with that said, everybody, went a little bit longer. Had a nice discussion. Now, again, as far as this weekend goes, I'm definitely live Friday night. I will be up here talking Smackdown, WrestleMania predictions, blah, blah, blah. Saturday and Sunday, I'm not sure yet. I might just wait until Sunday night and just do an entire WrestleMania recap Sunday night. In fact, I'm kind of leaning towards that for the simple reason that, do a part one, and then we do a part two the next night. And we're going to bring up, or I'm going to bring up stuff from the night before. So I'll think about if I'm going to do a Saturday and a Sunday. Right now I'm leaning towards just a Sunday night. I think that would be much better. And if I do just a Sunday night, then I probably will do it with my co-host. So that'll probably be the plan. But definitely live Friday. Now, as far as Patreon goes, I have decided this is how we're going to do the predictions contest. Going to list the matches and no confidence points. If there's 16 matches, you just predict who's going to win. Each match gets a point. If we get a spoiler revealed before the pay-per-view, then at least we only have to knock out one match or 1 point, or everybody gets the point, so nobody loses out. But whatever matches, I might not even do all 16. We may just pick 10 out of it. But you just predict who the winner is for the matches, and the tiebreaker will be one of the match times. I'm leaning towards the Goldberg-Braun Strowman match, if that is the officially announced match. Very curious to see how long that match goes. So I'm preparing everybody on Patreon now. That'll probably be the tiebreaker match, but probably pick 10 matches, and you just give your predictions of the 10, who's going to win the matches, and then the tiebreaker. And, since everybody likes the prize wall, we'll probably still do the prize wall no matter what. And that's pretty much it. So High Ridge Estates, his first Don-O-Mite live episode, and he enjoyed it. I thank you very much. Again, look, it's no secret, and I said it earlier. There are 50,000 wrestling recap episodes going on tonight. I take pride that since week one, I have done NXT and AEW in the same night. Almost everybody, they'll go with whatever gives them the most hits. You know, mostly everybody does AEW live. And they save NXT for, you know, a future episode or whatever they do. Me, I like the challenge of doing both. I like the challenge of covering both. I like to be different. I like to put in the extra work. Maybe the episode would be better if I only did AEW and saved NXT for maybe a Friday night to cover. But right now, you know, I cover both. Everybody seems to enjoy it. But I thank you very much for tuning in, whether it was live or on a replay. And once again, everyone, if you like tonight's episode, please hit the like button on the way out, because that does allow me to get a little bit more exposure online. Some people have never heard of the show before might, you know, get it as a recommendation. And spread the word. You know, if you like this, let your friends know. Post it on social media. Let them know about the episode and stuff like that. And, you know, I like especially when, you know, we predict things and it happens. Not just for accuracy, but we're getting what we want. You know, the AEW title, I mean, I think I have been the most vocal about them creating this belt now for months and months and months. I know other people have said they should have a secondary title, but I'm pushing it. And last week, you know, I said, make the title now and announce a tournament. And we got what we wanted. So, yeah, it's fun to be right, but it's more fun to get what you want, because that's what we wanted. At the end of the day, we wanted a secondary title, singles title in AEW other than the women's title. And we got it. So, you know, AEW, you know, I think listening to the fans, I think fans were vocal about it, and we're getting it. So, great episode. Had a blast. Thank you, everybody live who interacted with me tonight. Much love as always. Much appreciated. And make sure you check out Friday Don Tony Show. I'll be live immediately after Smackdown, probably about 5 minutes after. And one last thing for my Patreon family. The predictions contest will go up late Friday night, probably around midnight Eastern, maybe 1 a.m. After I do Don Tony Show, I'll put up the contest. Remember, you will only have until either 3 or 4 p.m. on Saturday to put your entry in. But that gives you about 12 or 13 hours to put your entry in. So, you know, at some point in those 12 hours, you'll be awake. Do not wait till the last minute to put the entry in, because once 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock comes on Saturday, that's it. Contest closed. I don't want anybody to miss out on it. You know, I know a lot of people, I know they're thinking. They wait literally until 10 minutes before the contest closes to put their entries in, because they hold out thinking that a spoiler pops up or something. Trust me, if a spoiler pops up, that match is void. So best thing for you to do, get your entry in early. It allows me to put up the entries early, and then we could all relax and enjoy Mania. So remember, I have another show to do before Mania this weekend. So join me live Friday night. We'll have some fun. So everyone, I am out of here. Be safe, be careful, and you know, please, you know, it's not fun right now with what's going on, but we'll get through it. And before you know, this fucking virus will be history. So take care, everybody. Much appreciated. I'll talk to you all soon. Good night.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.